we were having a little bit of connection issue a minute ago. Really hoping it's fixed at the moment. It is saying we have an excellent connection, so we'll see how it goes. Anyway, we're just continuing with the action figure today. So, just get all this stuff out of the way. And I'm just going to see what I still have to do on the model. So just rotating around here. And basically I just want to make sure that, that I'm getting these modifiers on all of my parts so that we can get rounder edges and just get looking a little nicer before we start 3D printing. Let me see, so this thing looks like it's already good. This piece, I believe I decided the modifiers weren't working out so well for getting the edges more rounded on this. So I'm leaving the sharp corners, but I have a few extra parts here. Let's just have a look at this. Yeah, so we also have this coming in the side of it. And they'll probably bump these subdivision surface modifiers up even another notch once I'm done with all this. Apparently I put a bevel on this one. I might actually, wow. Okay, just zoomed right through the center of that. And let me actually change it, turn off auto depth. I think that's why it was zooming so funny in there. There we go, that's better. So what is it I'm doing? I'm noticing like right on this piece, let's just move that to another layer to work with it. Noticing that even though I have those modifiers on there, I can still sort of see the faces on it, which isn't really what I want. I'd like it to be nice and smooth inside of here. So I think what I'll do is I'll get rid of this bevel modifier, and you can, oh, actually you can still see the faces. Let's, maybe I just need to bump up my subdivision surface on this. And let's have another look without the bevel. Yeah, that might be all I need. Like, these are going to get bumped up pretty high before we print. Just get the thing to as close to 1,000,000 faces as we can get. So never mind, I think this part's good. So just moving on with all this. I know the arm still needs to be done. So what I'm seeing is that we got the legs, we got both of these boxes. So now the next parts are the head and the arm need the modifiers on them. So I'll just move this over here to work on it. And the first thing I'm adding is the subdivision surface modifier. And I don't really know how much else these need besides subdivision surface. Like this alone gets the ball joint pretty rounded out. But let's see what I was doing on those other parts with the ball joints on them. So I've only got a few other parts with ball joints. This one was getting the simple subdivision and the Catmull Clark. So maybe I'll continue with that for these ball jointed parts. What about these up here? Those were, this one's got bevel and Catmull Clark. Oh no, I'll have to be careful that these aren't getting modified in ways that they don't snap together well. But, maybe I'll just move these two over and have a good look at how they're fitting together with different modifiers on them. And I'll make this one a different material to check that out. Just really zoom in here. So I'm not seeing a lot of intersection, which is, oh, actually it's not too bad. So I don't know why that's showing up as yellow in here. Just pull that around. And, no, it basically is looking like those are intersecting each other. Although if I go over to the side, not so much. Like, I don't know, I'm not actually seeing a nice, smooth connection between those two like I'd like to. So maybe I'll try to make sure that these are getting the same type of modifier. So for now, we're just removing that bevel. And let's add the another subdivision surface, pull that up. And if I do these simple, are those going to come together a little nicer? Having a look at this, like it's almost there, but I'm feeling like this ball needs to be just a little bit larger for this. And of course, these parts aren't doing too well without that bevel modifier on there. So it's possible I'll just need to manually make this top of the ball joint a bit larger for all this. So I'll go ahead and do that. Just select all of these parts in the ball joint and scale it up just a tad. Just so that when we're looking at this side view, I'd really like to see these parts just fitting together nicely. And doing something like this, so that's not too bad. If anything, we want the ball to be a little larger than the socket, since that socket can expand slightly, although, I don't know, basically we want those like exactly the same size. So something like this isn't bad. I got a feeling that these can fit together all right. And I'll probably wind up needing to do a little of that with all my ball joints. Just really be very sure that these can all fit together. Just having a look around the sides, making sure I didn't mess up these edges when I did that. Looking over here too, doing the same thing. That's looking pretty good. What is going on here? So right here, I feel like it might just be better to, I don't know, I really feel like I need to just merge these to this line. Not that it really matters, it just looks a little messy here. I think it's actually okay up there, so yeah, I'll probably just need to do that same thing with these ball joints over here. Just really make some little tweaks to them to make sure that all the ball joints are fitting together nice. However, on that one part, we were having some luck with the 2 subdivision surface modifiers. So maybe I'll try to continue that going over here. Looks like that makes a pretty good socket. So then what kind of, okay, it's gonna be fading into this ball. Let's have a good look at both of those. Chances are this ball needs to be made a little bit larger, though it also looks like maybe these aren't lined up terribly well. Yeah, that's part of the issue. So, oh, let me think. I should just move this back. It might cause some issues with the armature I have set up for this. That should be okay, so sliding this around, and I should actually make all these modifiers invisible while I do this. Cool, so now I just want to get these as lined up as I can before I start adding modifiers to all this. And just make sure that as little as poking out on either side as possible. That's looking pretty lined up, so maybe a little more down. Actually, back here was better. So let's just make those modifiers visible again and see if, I don't know, maybe we can get these to really line up well. So let's see what's going on in here now. Select this one. And I feel like we're going to have this sort of the same issue in here, where they're contacting pretty good, but maybe this ball needs to be slightly larger. So right now I'm just selecting this ball joint and scaling that just a tad. And just really get the sense that this has a smooth fit in there. Let's zoom in here and see how those are looking. So that's probably a little much. Just really moving this around. It's usually a good sign if there's a little intersection on all sides. That's not looking too bad. Looks like maybe the mirror modifier is a bit messed up there. There we go. So that's a bit more what I'm looking for in terms of a good solid ball joint connection. And still, it feels like maybe on the top there we could get just a little fatter. Now from the front view, see how that's going. And I think that is pretty good. Looks like we got some good intersection on the sides. Basically the same size, maybe with the ball slightly larger. Yeah, I'm really hoping that holds in there. Yeah, just making all the subdivision surface modifiers. And I'm putting different modifiers on. Putting different subdivision surface modifiers and different kinds of modifiers on all the parts. So I'm just really hoping that these ball joints still hold together nicely. It's always a little different when I make these out low resolution and then scale them up with subdivision surface. It's really not looking too bad right now. Like here it looks like the front edge should really be there, but let's look inside. That's actually not bad. I feel like that'll fit together. Looking at the front. And we'll attempt that. It's possible that, possible I'll need to print some of this stuff again, but I'm really hoping I won't. So I'm doing the same thing down here. And I'm going to try the 2 subdivision surface modifiers again. How did moving all that around affect the armature? Still looks pretty good. So going down here, doing the same thing with the modifiers. First one simple, second one Catmull Clark with view of 2. Let's have a look at these. It's possible just like moving this back is going to make those look more lined up, so I'll attempt it. Of course, moving it like this won't actually affect how the parts fit together in real life, but it'll give me a better sense of what I need to do. Like on all of these, I'm just feeling like the ball part of the joint needs to be just slightly larger. So really that's not too bad. We got some intersection in there, which is what I'm looking for. Move that up just a little more. And I'm actually feeling good about that. I don't think I'm going to mess with the ball's shape right now. Of course, that made this part not quite fit in there, but we'll work on it. So then same deal for this. We're doing the 2 subdivision surface modifiers. Simple Catmull Clark view of 2. And since this has the same stack of modifiers, it should fit in there pretty well. Like, you can see the edges are a bit angled here, but I think they're angled as in the same way as the thing it's fitting into. And I'm going to do some manual edge loops here because I really want straight edges to really facilitate this sliding in easily. And I'll do the same thing here. Doesn't really matter inside there. I kind of doubt it's Donkey Kong. Mostly because this is supposed to be free to use music, so I don't know. I don't want Nintendo shutting me down. So, also doing some loop cuts inside here, just the same thing, moving them around, getting those as close to the edges as possible. Oh yeah, I'm playing Donkey Kong on the stream. You can tell because I'm throwing banana barrels around. Yeah, just trying to beat the Fire Kingdom right now. Right, and that's looking pretty good. I think that'll slot in there okay. Let's just look at the alignment here. So, whoa. Always turn snapping off, whatever the situation. So that's looking pretty nice. And there's a little angling on here, but I think it gives it some nice definition. So, I don't know, I'm going to need to do some really serious checks before I send this off to the printer. But right now I'm just going to continue. And where is that armature? I want to turn that off. Just going to continue adding modifiers to the arm. So the thing about this is it needs to slot nicely into this socket here. maybe just move this to another layer for now. So whatever I add to this, it needs to mostly preserve the nice clean edges on here, maybe bevel them a little bit. And I also need the sides of this cylinder to be really nice and smooth. So what have we got on the part it's slotting into? That is using a bevel modifier and also the Catmull-Clark subdivision. I got no idea if I'm saying Catmull-Clark right. So subdivide all this, and then let's just see if a bevel modifier is what this needs. Bevel's always a tricky one to get right. So yeah, that it's possible this could work out for me. Although I don't really like my chances of slotting the other piece in here with this modifier, so let's try the two subdivision surface modifiers and see if that can get the results I'm looking for. One view for the simple, two for the Catmull-Clark, and so it's a little melty in here, but it doesn't look bad, mostly. I don't know, maybe it looks a little bad. I think I was liking what the bevel was doing better. So let's try that again. Bevel the thing, make sure I'm beveling first. So bevel also has other settings, like mostly I've been using now hang on, there's also a weight setting. Let's see, I'm guessing it's not just a weight painting because that would be weird. Yeah, it's an alcoholic that bends metal beams. So I don't know what to do with this. Just gonna mess around with this bevel modifier. Maybe there's some settings besides. Now here we go. You know, it's possible that that I don't need to bevel everything. Like, Vertex Group seems to be doing an okay job. Maybe I could set it so it isn't trying to bevel this cylinder here, which would be good. I don't know, just messing with these settings some more. Angle gets pretty nice results, but I really don't like how it does these, what is that, concave corners. Like none does just fine with inside here, but it kind of messes up curves like this. So let's attempt Vertex Group, see what that's like. And just add a Vertex Group to, I guess, everything except for this cylinder. So in order to do that, I'm going to, well, maybe I'll even bevel these up here. Just really not bevel this part. Just kind of figuring this out as I go, because this is always always the part of 3D printing that's trickiest for me. Okay, so let's attempt this. And just remembered I need my screen keys. And also key monitor. Cool, now I can actually see what I'm doing. Alright, so going back here, we were going to try vertex groups, everything but cylinder, and that looks pretty awful. So, I'm just gonna play with this a little more, and, I don't know, see if, see if maybe this can work. Maybe I didn't assign things to everything but cylinder, and that's the issue. Alright, let's try this again. Okay, that was the issue. So now I've assigned things to everything but cylinder. Whoa. It's getting a little weird in here. So what have I got for everything but cylinder? I actually have pretty much everything in there, so... Okay, but then I assigned this, and that's still pretty weird. But maybe I could just do like some manual beveling. So, let's see. So part of the issue, let's just get rid of this for a minute. And get rid of this one. So, yeah, part of the issue is that I've got this extra little cut here, which, is making it harder to do, like, loop cuts on this thing. Well, let's just try to do this manually. And it's doing the same thing over here. And just lining all these up, making sure we've got a proper loop cut. Or loop cut equivalent. This thing's forever not going to be considered a loop. So now let's turn these modifiers back on, the ones that make it look horrible. And, whoa, turn off snapping. And that's still not great. I don't know, try another loop cut here. And, like, I'm really not liking what's going on inside here. Can these be added to this vertex group to help out? Helps a bit, but still doesn't quite do it. So, I don't know, it's not too bad like that. And, you know, I could make more cuts over here. It's possible we can work this out. So let me think, how does it look in here? So I'm not convinced that oh, actually that bevel is doing a lot, because with the subdivision surface, like if I take off the bevel, this is just all melty. So that bevel's doing its job. Just need to manually bevel the center because, here's my main issue with the bevel on this cylinder is that it's, looks like the inside of a tesseract. Yeah, that's the goal, to avoid that. So yeah, the main issue with this bevel modifier is it's doing some things to this cylindrical peg that I'm not too crazy about. So that helped out. So yeah, this is basically what I want here. And, I don't know, can I do another loop cut here to really solidify that sharp edge? And this isn't bad at all. Maybe I could just move this down here. That's basically correct. So the trick is to just do this with all of the joining parts to make sure that they're doing the same thing. And basically what this is doing is it's telling it to not mess with these corners at all. So again, we got kind of sharp corners on here. Maybe if I take these off of the bevel modifier, we can deal with that a little. So let's see, I've taken these off of the bevel modifier, but again, it's all kind of crude. I don't know, I'm almost wondering if I've got the wrong approach here, like, oh, just looking at my bevel again. Oh no, clamp overlap is nice. That gives me a little bit of rounding, but not as bad. Okay, so now just turned off the clamp overlap, and I'm pretty happy with that. It's giving me like edges that are round enough that it's looking a little more professional, but not so round that they're totally messing up the chances of these two parts fitting together. Maybe I could just take these ones off the bevel, see what that does. Yeah, not liking that. Oh, although I got another idea, so I remove all these. And then I just manually make some loop cuts here. Of course, the whole point of all these modifiers is to avoid having to do a million loop cuts in here. So I don't know, this isn't too bad. I'm pretty happy with how this is looking. So now the issue is I need to duplicate what I did here with the other pieces. So this thing shouldn't be too bad. Just assign everything to this. And, you know, we can remove some stuff for that bevel if it's needed. So we have the bevel, vertex groups, turn off clamp overlap. What else is this using? It has 2 segments. What does this do without loop slides? I got no idea. Whoa, that's weird. Okay, so I've pretty much just copied this and now assign that to the vertex group. And if I'm correct, this should fit together very cleanly. It basically looks like it is, like that's clipping a lot, which is a good sign. This is the only 3D modeling situation where clipping is a good thing. It looks like it's a pretty good fit. Maybe it's a little big for here, but I'm not too worried. Yeah, it sticks out a bit. Could probably still fit in there. Oh, I haven't done my subdivision surface modifier yet. So now let's see how these are clipping. And that's much better. Yeah, I don't think those will have trouble sliding together. So now let's actually see what's going on with the tip of this. It's a little weird. So this is where I'm going to need to manually do a little cutting of this, because bevel doesn't really handle these concave edges well. So subdividing all of that. Oh, thank you, Galen. How are you doing today? Thank you for the host. So I'm just continuing with this 3. How's it going, Galen? So let me show you what I'm working on. Probably pretty much the same thing you saw the other day. I'm just continuing with this 3D print, getting all of this beveled and subdivided so it'll print nicely. Oh, that's awesome, Galen. So, what kind of things were you doing on the Nostromo? Yeah, so just messing with all these joints and making sure everything fits together really nicely. So at the moment, I'm working on this piece right here. Whoa, and that's not good. Trying to get all these nicely subdivided. I was really hoping I could just have the modifier do it, but looks like I'll need some manual loop cuts too. And right now I'm just trying to get these weird things to go away with some manual cutting. Working on some more on the thruster area. Oh, cool. Yeah, well, last time I was watching your stream, it was looking really good. Can't wait to see that thing printed. And I think this is actually helping a lot with the problem. Oh, no, it isn't. Actually, that's not helping at all with that. Maybe I'm cutting the wrong piece. Like, that doesn't do anything for this. So maybe instead I'll try like manually cutting across here. And no, that doesn't help the beveling either. Yeah, I think we were talking about this yesterday, where this is just the nightmare part of making stuff for 3D printing for me. There we go, that was the issue. Like, just working with these bevels, and mostly these things do what I want them to, but sometimes I get stuff like this. So I also need to figure out what's going on right here. That seems to help a bit, and then I don't know why the bevel thinks that this ought to stick out this much. There we go, but that's not looking too bad for the top of the cloth. And again, we have this issue where, yeah, this actually does seem to work pretty well, where maybe the bevel modifier just doesn't like these really close together edges. So what I do over here for this, I just kind of merge those forward. So as long as I make sure to do this, well, actually the other part doesn't need this because it's a cylinder, but okay, that's not bad at all. So just taking a quick look around here. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It has to do with the triangular parts. So let's have a look at this. It also seems to not do very well with the corners. Like, these are working nicely, but a lot of times with these concave edges, I get really weird stuff stretching across them. But this part's looking great, so I'll move it back over there. And now we get to the claw. Start with this piece, move it over there. And I'll just try to copy the modifiers on here. So, let's see, we're doing vertex groups, turned off clamp overlap. And inside, oh yeah. Yeah, like a lot of times I just stack two subdivision surface modifiers and put one of them on simple. But, like, I'm doing a lot of that here where, let me zoom in on this. Like, it doesn't quite get the full rounding on these edges, but it does better for sharp angles. Like, if I turn that thing off, well, it's not doing anything, this. Like, if I turn it off, you can see this rounding is better. But the sharper angles kind of get lost. So it's just kind of a matter of balancing what I want for each of these pieces. And, what I really hate is when, like, I have a model where I've put so many, made so many loop cuts on it that I can barely work with it anymore. So I've really tried to get better about only putting as many loop cuts as I absolutely need on there. And just trying to get these other modifiers to do most of the lifting for getting the geometry right. So I'm just doing vertex groups because I did the same thing over there, but probably don't need to. Let's just turn off clamp overlap. And it's all looking a little melty, so maybe this isn't quite what's right for this one. Oh, those two segments is what I need. There we go. So then this right here doesn't look too bad. Just having a look around here, seeing if there's anything really weird going on, but I'm actually liking that quite a bit. Just move this on its own. And I'll probably do some manual loop cuts to make sure that is that snapping? Let's see. So just do some manual loop cuts to make really sure that we have a good clean connection between these parts. And I'm feeling like I'm gonna need even another loop cut in there, but no, that didn't do anything. So this isn't doing a whole lot. It probably wants to be on that other bit. Which isn't really an option, but maybe that corner is good enough to connect these. Let's have a look in here. And actually the clipping on these isn't bad. Like, I'm getting a little bleeding through, which means it's a tight fit, which is really what I'm looking for. Just move this back a bit. And I could really see that snapping on there pretty nicely. Got some rounding on here too, which will help out. So I'm not too concerned with that. Just gonna move on to this piece and do these same modifiers here. Ooh, what did I do? Subdivision surface. I think I solidified the thing. So, yeah, and really hoping I can finish, well, I keep saying I'm gonna finish up this project one of these days. And it turns out that 3D printing stuff is time consuming, but I don't know, still really feeling like I'm nearing the finish line on this one. Now this isn't looking nearly as nice. Do an outset from the shaft to tighten that corner up. Interesting. So, let's have a look at that. So, not quite familiar with outsets. So, how would that work out? Like, I don't know, just trying to visualize this. Like, a cut around this outer part, or... Yeah, I think that's true, City of Corridors. Like, you mean like this or something different? Alright, so select the corner edge ring, like all of this here. Cool, and then how do... Oh, let me see. So I'm guessing it's in here. Then do inset, but select the option for outset. Okay. What? Not that. Let's see. Hit I. Ooh, what? Not that. So yeah, it doesn't seem to be giving me a lot of options for, I/O. Let's try that again. So I've got the edge selected, I press I, and then I press O. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll have to look up how to do that. I could also do maybe E, bevel. Oh, that doesn't do much either. Whoa. Well, maybe this tightens it a bit if I manually bevel, but I don't know. I think it'll work out okay as it is. Yeah, I gotta look up outsetting. So moving on over here. Yeah, I think these 3D printing projects really do take longer than I think they will. Like, I just look at this thing and it looks basically all finished up. But then there's just so many little details to mess around with constantly. And this thing, I think I just need to manually do what I did to the other one. So there's just some geometry in these hooks that doesn't play very well with the, now it looks worse, but there's some geometry on here that doesn't play too well with the bevel modifier. So that's looking good, and there were a few other things, like I dissolved this edge, do the same thing down here. Yeah, so, do you know what kind of ship you're gonna, or I guess I shouldn't assume it's a ship, Do you know what kind of project you're going to be doing after you finish the Nostromo? Man. Let's merge all these forwards. And let's see what else. So, oh yeah, also this doesn't look good. Can I just dissolve this? That's not too bad. Really, this thing seems to like if I dissolve a bunch of edges. What if I cut across here? Not too bad. And then go in here, do the same thing. Ah, that makes sense. That already looks like it's got a ton of hours in it. And then dissolve these. Yeah, I've successfully done ball joints one other time. And let's see, I've got too many windows open. I've got that up on the Discord for the site. I also put up that skeleton I was talking about last time. So, like I think someone was, wow, 1.9 million. That's impressive. Yeah, I think someone was asking about, or was saying they were having some problems making skulls last time. So I put up the skeleton that I made in the art section because I was talking about it. So, how much of that 1.9 vertices is just cranking up the subdivision surface modifier? And how much of it is like meticulously making more faces by hand? So I'm just looking through here. I don't feel like I need a whole lot more for this part. It's looking pretty clean. These edges are maybe not quite there for me. What if I just dissolve this? Does that help out a little bit? I think that's gonna be fine though. Oh wow. So just a ton of really detailed handwork. Maybe I'd like to manually curve this a little more. Like, I don't know if I really want that piece to look totally like a flat edge. Of course, I can probably use the vertex groups to manually make some more curves on this. So let's just assign everything to a vertex group and go from there. So make another one, call it all, and assign them all. And go back to the bevel modifier. Cool. And now maybe I can remove some stuff to get better curvature on those. So then, of course, that's actually not too unhappy with what that did. I'll need to maybe manually put a few more things on there, so let's just undo that. What I really need to do is extract a lot of detail pieces. So So why would you put the detail pieces on their own Blender file? Alright, so that's kind of nice. And then maybe I could manually bevel a bit of that. I mean, like, I could do this maybe. That's not so bad. Or just inset this. That's not bad at all. And then how many subdivisions have I got? So then that makes it a bit rounder. Of course, down here, no, I feel like I've got too many edges down here. That's not great either. So much little fiddly stuff moving all these edges around. But I go to print it and can print out the parts easier. Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think I was asking the last time about, like you were, hey Mike Lamps, how's it going? So, not sure if I've shown this one to you yet. I'm 3D printing a little action figure of the character in my video game. And, it's actually getting pretty close, so I'm just making a ton of little ball joints and slidey joints in here. And I've actually got it, whoa, not like that. I've got it, okay, maybe I don't have it rigged up, but at any rate, yeah, I'm just setting it all up so this can all snap together and make a little plastic figure. And let me see this piece here. Yeah, like I think when I was watching Galen's stream, I was asking about how you're fitting the parts together, because that seems like also one of the difficult parts of the process. What you were saying about screwing the parts together sounds really interesting, though. Might have to try that out on some future prints. So then what if I just remove this? And yeah, that helps get the curve back in there. Maybe I can do some manual loops around this bit. Or I could just add these vertices back to it. Try to get a straight edge here while, oh, and this one too. Okay, that's pretty nice. And it really doesn't like what's going on here. So, did I assign this one? Remove it. Cool. If you have two pieces fitting together. Oh yeah, yeah. You need a little clearance between the pieces that are fitting together. And do you mean like if you're printing both of the pieces, like they're both on the same print bed and they're printing at once? Or do you mean like printing them separately and slotting them together? Then I think I can maybe add these back onto the bevel to be slotting back into oh, words. I don't know, get them with a sharper edge on them is all I'm saying. know if I like that. I think it was better before. Cool. So I need to do the same thing on the bottom one down there, for them to fit together without a lot of sanding. Yeah, so the claw, the only points of articulation is right here. So these bits don't move, but both of the claw pieces can swing out from the wrist, I guess. Yeah, that makes sense, needing to have a little bit of clearance on those. Like, I don't know, I've had different experiences printing with my home printer versus the online service that I use. Like with that one, pretty much I can pretty much get the pieces exactly as close together as they are in here, like no clearance whatsoever, and they can still slot together. But on my home printer, like, I've needed to make the ball joints significantly thinner just to have the ball snap into the ball joint. I'm going down here and just trying to duplicate what I did with that other one. So making another vertex group. Assigning these and then going over to my bevel modifier. And just removing a few of these to get some better curvature on there. So I forget quite what I did there, but let's just eyeball it. So I think the base of these needed to be added back onto the bevel modifier. And same thing over here. And was I assigning or removing? Assign maybe? There we go. Depending on the printing technology. Yeah, yeah, I don't really know a whole lot about 3D printers, like beyond the material I'm using to print. I bet Shapeways is using the more advanced method because they got really fine detail parts with, you know, good tolerances on them. And going down here, doing just the same thing I did to the other bit. And also this bit down here needs to be assigned, removed. Looking pretty good down there. Shapeways, oh, it uses SLA. So, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I've used their metal to print a lot of different jewelry. If anything, I've printed more in metal than plastic from them. Really looking to do more projects with my home printer too. You know, it's definitely cheaper to do it that way, so I can print larger pieces. But as far as really tightly fitting together parts and I don't know, tightly fitting together parts goes, Shapeways is definitely better for it. But like last December, I was printing this pretty massive cup holder for a bicycle on my home printer, and kind of snapped apart because I was making it in PLA plastic, which is pretty brittle. But you know, if I'd used that much plastic with Shapeways, it probably would have cost like, oh, I don't even know, $100 for this cup holder like this size. I don't know, I was happy with how it printed. It just didn't really have the structural integrity to actually hold drinks on a moving bicycle. Could also print ABS at home, but I don't really have the ventilation for it. That would probably be a lot stronger. At least more flexible, so it, you know, didn't snap if the bicycle goes over a corner. And I guess I'll do the same thing with this one up here. Usually use Fusion 360. Oh, cool. So is that like another 3D modeling software or something different? Yeah, the cup holder's still on the bicycle. It's just, it's got a few tentacles snapped off. If you press C before starting... Oh, it cuts through the mesh. That's good to know. So let me attempt that. So we're going to... Oh, you mean if I do it in wireframe, it cuts through the mesh. So, like, if I go, okay, like this. What? Okay, I got a setting turned off for that. I don't know, but something like that might collapse. Oh, okay, so I do K, Z... Oh, I getcha. That's useful. Oh, thanks for the tip. That helps out a lot. Yeah, so what's the, I get party hats. I don't think I have enough heads for all those hats. Yeah, so I bet the workflow in Fusion 360 is a little different from Blender. Why don't you use it for all of your 3D modeling? So it looks like these can clip onto here pretty good. Not too worried about those ones. Yeah, I think that's gonna be a nice tight fit. Just looking inside here. Maybe make this a different material to really get a good sense of it. I mean, this will probably be like, you know, it's not quite centered on there, but yeah, I'm not too worried about this clip going in place. So moving over here, trying the other one. And having a good look at this. And all that clipping means we're gonna get a nice tight fit on this. It is based on sketches. Oh, I getcha. Yeah, I've never really tried any other 3D modeling software besides Blender. So just putting these all on the proper material. And let me think about this. Just keep save until we win. And thinking, so I don't know, I've got my modifiers pretty much in the right places on this. If anything, I can probably start deleting all of these parts that aren't going to go onto the finished model. But they are in the backups if I need them. And yeah, I can even delete this thing. So yeah, and I think it might even be time to get rid of this armature. And just move all this over here. And what else have I got? Like minimum thickness orbs, like 2 of them, 3 of them, so I can get rid of those. Just clean up all this stuff to start getting ready to really lay this stuff out to print it. Then save again, constantly at every opportunity. And I think actually I'm going to make a special save of this. It's the saving stream for all of your saving needs. Yeah, I think we're gonna need something a little stronger than laser sintering to print the animations. So well, let's just call it finished posed. And now I'm going to make a separate save here on the saving stream. Laying out for print 1. Loads and loads of saves. So the point of all that is now it's time to actually start like laying these down and like putting little tubes connecting them to make a parts tree with these. And they're like, I think I could send a file to Shapeways with these different objects all just kind of laid out. But they charge per shell, meaning like per separate printed object that they detect in the file. So it's going to make this print a lot more affordable if I connect all these parts into one big, easily separatable part. So then, so actually I'm going to need basically 3 different files. 1 of them for each color that I'm printing. Just putting all these on the proper color. And this one as well. And, you know, I'm going to, I don't know, I'm probably going to offer this for other people to get printed out online and have some options for the different material colors. But the default's definitely like this, where we got yellow, red, and just a little bit of blue. And I don't really like having a print that's just this tiny little piece of plastic in the blue, but I don't know, it is how the game model is, and it gives it a nice accent. So, minimize, and going back to, here we go. So I need to look at my material properties for, we're doing versatile plastic, and moving on down. So, oh, whoops, missed the design guidelines. And what I really need to know is the I think these are unsupported wires we're talking about. So I'm going to need 1 millimeter thickness for these little wires that are connecting all the parts together. Okay, 1 millimeter. So go back into Blender, make a cylinder. And might already have the right dimensions. not exactly. So we're going to need this with a dimension of 1, which is going to be 1 millimeter thick. And I'll just call this cylinder the part attacher. It's like Ninja Turtle. Yeah, pretty much. It's like an aspirational action figure. I had so many Ninja Turtle action figures growing up. Like, I had action figures that were never even in the show. Alright, so, before I do this, I'm just gonna take one last really exacting look at these parts. Just make sure I'm not missing anything. Because it takes like a few months, well, maybe a month for these things to arrive in the mail, and I'd really rather not order them again. So just looking at these and making sure they really look like they can still all slide and fit together. Feeling pretty good about its chances though. Oh, now something weird is going on with this. Like this cylinder doesn't have very straight edges on it, so that's something I ought to mess with. And I think, yeah, no. I don't know, it looks like the modifiers are doing something weird with this kind of tapering in. So that probably has to do with the vertex groups on the bevel. So let's see if I can't remove or assign. Assigning helps a little bit. There we go. Alright, but now these are getting weird, so dissolve some of those edges. We don't need duplicate beveling. And then select all of these. Maybe I can just unbevel that. No, that turns out those are load-bearing vertices. So now looking at this again, we've got a pretty straight edge on that. That doesn't do anything. What about these right here? Like, can I, okay, so that's what I was trying to avoid. Oh no, that's feeling a lot better for slotting in there, so... Oh, that's very bad. Oh no, maybe if I put this in and then remove it from the vertex group, that's a bit better. Yeah, they're all load-bearing vertices. So this is also a bit wonky. And I kind of have the same thing going on over here, so let's move that over. And, ooh, what did I do? So I seem to have done something kind of weird with all these. It's all just kind of split off, kind of funky. Gonna have to turn off these modifiers to fix that up. How did that even happen? And then select all of these. Okay, now does this look good with the modifiers?
I've given you sunlight.
I've given you rain. You've given me nothing but heartache and pain. I'm asking you nicely. I'm down on my knees. Please grow for me. I think if I dissolve this, it'll help out. So I'm feeling pretty good about how this peg looks. And let's just keep going with taking a good hard look at all these pieces. Okay, might be something weird with this too, so let's just move these over to their own layer. Is this piece parented to that or what? No. Alright, so then just looking at this, and I mean, that's not centered in there, but I just need to move that around a bit. But the real question is it a nice tight fit? I think it will be, but I gotta take a good look at this. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, I think that's gonna be, I don't know, basically just like to go inside all these parts and make sure they're really clipping together after all those modifiers are in there. I think those are pretty good. So moving on with the part integrity check. So then what else we got? Going up here, having a look at those ball joints. I think I already checked those earlier on this stream, but that's how those are going to be fitting in there. Probably pretty good. Maybe I'd like those slightly larger. Yeah, like if I'm making stuff on my home printer, I like those balls to be, I like the ball to be a little smaller than the joint, because the joint doesn't flex at all to get those in. But for Shapeways technique, I'd almost rather those are slightly on the large side, but whoa, not like that. I'd prefer these are slightly on the large side because, like, their nylon material has some good flex to it. So, I can put a little pressure on those to get those into the socket. And, you know, it's nice if it's a good tight fit so the joints are really held in place. So I'm feeling better about that. And, yeah, I'm not foreseeing any issues with this joint. Moving on with the check, how about these two pieces? Do those fit together well? Yeah, we need joints and swinging balls. So then looking at this, you can tell from all of those horrible graphical glitches that these have a nice fit to them. And put that on the right material. How about this joint? How's that one doing? Just looking at that from side view, it looks like pretty happy with the fit that this one appears to have. How about down here? So again, it's looking pretty good. And this thing slides out of here. You can really zoom in here to have a look at how they're fitting. And it looks like I don't quite have them lined up, so we're not getting those graphical glitches I love to see, but got a pretty good feeling that these are just like exactly the same proportions. Yeah, like just slide this right to the glitch point, and you can kind of see that popping through because those ought to line up pretty well. Okay, so moving down here. And I can turn one of these red so you can really see it. So, yeah, that seems like a good fit on those. And then going down here, checking these same thing. Checking these same thing for all of them. Because I don't want to print this twice. Looking pretty good. Not very lined up, though. Yeah, it kind of does. Like, it feels wrong, but, that's a really useful way to see if two pieces are exactly the same size. Like, you know, I just want these joints to be as tight as possible. I'm feeling pretty good about that piece. So, going down here, just have a good look at what it's doing. And let's try this one. Again, that looks like a pretty good fit. Lots of Z fighting in there, which is what we want. Oh, and the piston. Okay. So, yeah, that's what I'm gonna check next. So I'm, let's say I'm 80% confident in the piston. Like, this piston is a bit of a balancing act here, and you know, I think I might be more confident at this point that the piston will work than I am that the ball joints will hold together nicely, which is pretty good. But like this piston length is a balancing act. It needs to be just the right length, because if it's too long, the model can't crouch down enough. If it's too short, the model can't extend its leg enough. And I need this little piece of plastic. Yeah, it could be a little fragile. Like, this little bit of peg needs to never pop out of here. And I think that I have it so that, like, this block back here can prevent that. But, you know, I'm not going to be, like, incredibly surprised if I have some issues with that. But as long as you hand... Yeah, I'm hoping this thing doesn't need too much handling with care. I don't know. This laser centered nylon, it's not too bad in terms of durability. And also, like in terms of being fragile. Oh yeah, I'm really hoping that shell fits together well. So like this is the minimum wire thickness. And this is the smallest, most fragile part of the piston. So this thing isn't exactly at minimum specifications to be printed. So with any luck, that's gonna be not too fragile. So I'm gonna save this again as the finished one. Finished posed. And then save again as laying out for print. And then do it again to be sure. Neurotically at every opportunity. All right, so now that I've done the final check, I can actually start laying this thing out. How much thicker is it than the Bonnie tie pegs? Wish I had that model on this computer, but yeah, those were pretty close to minimum thickness, like and also say of course, I was just talking about the last jointed model that I printed. I've got some images up on my Discord of which I posted a link to in chat. Like the tie pegs, so Bonnie has a little bow tie that kind of was meant to snap into the chest. And those are the big things that broke on the model. Like, they were just these little pegs that kind of were meant to bend in and then clip on the inside. So part of the issue was, in order to slot that into place, they were meant to flex inwards a bit. And, you know, this piston isn't really meant to undergo that kind of stress. So, it's got that going for it too. So I'm going to need 3 different layers, one for each color of material. And I'm just gonna move all of the yellow pieces over there. Select this, select these. Just move those on over there. And also this sneaky bit in here. So, this is also, let me see if I can get in here. These parts are also, I'm really hoping they work right. Like, I've just inserted one object into another one, and I'm like 95% sure Shapeways interprets that as one object. And, just doing that because I really want to be able to keep my modifiers simple, like and not do too many loop cuts. So let's see if we've got a little bit of border on this so that, yeah, we've got a lot of that other part intersecting this. So with any luck, these will be interpreted as just one piece. Make this a different color to be sure. And yeah, here's what I'm looking for. So we got that ring of the currently blue shell just intersecting this bit. So, I can do away with this minimum thickness sphere at this point. So this is going on to the red layer, yellow layer, red layer, yellow layer. Goes onto the red layer. And then we only have one part for the blue layer. I don't know, I'm thinking maybe, this could actually go onto, oh, why not layer 4? So, yeah, I'm wondering if maybe I should include like some extras of this part just because it's so tiny. But I don't know, it's not like it's all that bad to just like print a tiny little part in its own print. It's just like another dollar for doing a separate print with very little material in it. So now this is our part attacher. It is 1 millimeter thick. Yep, 1 millimeter unsupported wires. And more than any other kind of 3D modeling, like I try to be very thorough and very neurotic with 3D printing, because after I finish modeling, there's going to be this long period where I'm trying to print the thing, and really hoping I did everything right. So, yeah, no, I just seem to find the best way to lay all of these out, like, I don't know, kind of near the bottom. Maybe I'll even turn on the grid floor for this one. I don't usually like working with it. But since I'm literally laying a bunch of things out on the floor, it might make sense. Where is that even display? And let's make this giganto. Cool. And then, like if I was doing this with my home printer, the orientation of these parts would be pretty important. So there's two reasons for that. For one thing, like it's laying these out in these tiny layers, layer, layer, layer. And it's going to be a lot sturdier from one direction than from the other direction. And you could really see the layers. But shapeways techniques are so nice. You can sort of see the layers, but it's not very noticeable. And also, for my printer, like, gravity is a big issue, so it's like over little overhangs like this, it's laying out support material under here, which happens to be the same plastic that I'm printing this thing in. So it's really important to get as little in the way of overhangs here as I can. But I found it's not quite as important to really min-max that in terms of sending stuff to Shapeways. They might charge a little extra for support material, but they're using something other than plastic as their support, so it's not like you have to manually chip away that stuff. I don't know, but mostly I just want to get this in a nice flat sheet. Just moving these down here, and and also leaving these modifiers applied as much as possible. So just getting the origin a little closer to the center of this. And I don't know, like if I were doing this on my home printer, it would really be important to get this piece so that like as little of this were overhanging as possible. But like I said, for the service it's a bit less important. If anything, since this is a Shapeways print, I think it might be nice to leave it like this so I can join as many of these as possible if I need to, while still leaving all these mirror modifiers unapplied. And yeah, I don't want too much room between these. Moving right along with these leg joints. So with these, yeah, I don't know, let's also try to get the origin a little closer to the center of them. And another thing with laying these out is I really want to put them in some kind of configuration where the tubes can easily go from one to the other. And also the tubes are attaching in places where it'll be one, easy to remove them. And two, it won't be too noticeable if like there's a little white patch where the tube used to be. So like it might even be worthwhile to do a lot of this on the bottom of the feet where it really won't be noticeable. Ooh, whoopsie. So, mirroring on another axis. So if I put the feet on their sides like this, I can really attach a lot of stuff to the bottom of these, and of course I want these feet to be flat, so it does mean you'll have to clip off the tubes kind of precisely, but it does mean we have less, I don't know, it's less visible where the tubes were. Like maybe something coming right out of the ankle here would be nice. Another thing I need to keep in mind with laying these out is it would be nice if the orientation of them sort of suggests how these are supposed to go together. You know, this thing will need a little bit of assembly work, and I'd like that process to be as intuitive as possible. Like maybe something like this, where it's pretty clear that this part attaches to this part, attaches to this part. And I can kind of diagram it out and it won't be too confusing. Then moving right along. Yes, there's a lot of different considerations with figuring out exactly what the best way to lay these out is. Oh no, and I probably want it to be roughly square too, so I don't know, so the printing volume is contained a bit. I think it might actually make sense to layer these, possibly layer them a bit so that the cubic volume is as small as possible. I don't know, I'm really feeling like with these, we probably want the tube coming right out the bottom because that's the least visible piece. So those slot into this. And moving this around, try 90 on this. So yeah, even if those aren't exactly attached to each other, I can at least put them in a position where it's kind of clear that one slots into the other. Then probably rotate both of these around 90 degrees, so 180 on this one maybe, negative 90. Right, and this one needs to go above that one on the layout. And just move this over here and kind of get those in opposition to each other so that there's a really clear relationship here. And let's see, where is the least visible piece of this part here? Probably on the inside of the leg is a good place to put these. So like maybe some tubes coming off this side won't be too noticeable. I also want to make sure that I'm not putting more tubes on a piece than I really need. So like I might be able to get away with a few on the bottom of the feet, but really don't want to have too much in the way of tubes coming out of the parts that are really visible. Cool, so putting this over here, and yeah, I don't know. And I probably also don't want tubes coming out of things like ball joints, where it's really important that they have a nice solid connection in there. There we go. So just thinking about this. And yeah, it would be really nice if I had the tube coming out of right here on this, even though it's going to make it a little less apparent that's slotting into this piece. Just gonna need to think about making really clear instructions for this. And moving this over here. Oh, you know, I haven't decided on yellow or orange. Let's have a look at that. Bring up shapeways. Come on. And let's see. So, probably assuming these are accurate, the orange would be a little better for this coppery color. No, let's see. So this is probably the orange, and I'd be pretty happy if it looked like that. Oh no, maybe this, oh, that's steel. Wish they had just like a better display of what all this stuff looks like. I don't know, going back on it, that might be more of a yellowy. Let's try yellow on these. Whoopsie. All right, so what is it I'm doing? Who's Max? And move this out of the way. Oh, did I print you something at, oh, the Max, I remember. Right, now I remember. No, I think I'll just go with yellow. Pretty sure I'll be happier with yellow. Yeah, a while back I printed like City of Corridors. This one's gonna take some explaining. City of Corridors, and I heard that like the Romans, like when they had a new ruler, they, instead of making a whole statue for the new ruler, they just kind of take the head off of a statue and put the new ruler's head on there. I've seen some billboards, like modern billboards, that do the same thing. So, at the time, we had this guinea pig named Caligula after the Roman ruler. Um, the idea for the model was like I was printing this robed figure and just making a little guinea pig head that I could just slot in there. And I made a bunch of other heads in there as well. So one of them was this superhero, the Mac. So like you could just slot his head in there and replace Caligula, the guinea pig's head. Like it's kind of the sort of oddball project where you have to understand a whole lot of different, very specific series of events that led up to the creation of that object. Came out pretty well, though. So, now the claw. Move this up a bit. And still kind of playing around with how these should be laid out. Like, I'd like to be able to lay these out on like a parts tree and, well, lay them out on a diagram and have like an overhead view. And we've got text with little arrows naming each of these parts, so that needs a place to be laid out clearly. And then I can show like a little diagram of all these snapping together. I don't know, so maybe this could actually fit right here. Of course, I'd be happier if these were snapping on the inside of them. Let's see, definitely don't want to do too much that's going right into the neck here. I don't need to worry at all about like the structural integrity of these little wires connecting them. Those are meant to break apart. So where does this thing connect? Again, it might really make sense to put just a whole lot of wires going out the bottom of the feet. Then, all you're really worrying about is, whoa, that ain't good. All you're really worrying about is taking some tin snips or something and really cleaning those wires off the feet. I don't know, it'd be worse for the feet, be better for everything else. Of course, here's another thing, like I could have just a junk object, like a hub that these are all coming out of. And that kind of appeals to me, like just one hub object. Everything connects off of the hub, and that way none of these need more than one wire coming to them. So let's try that. I don't even know where this connector is. Part attacher, where are you? This needs to be over here. Alright, so I'm moving you over to our yellow layer. And then really zooming in on here. So yeah, maybe a nice little cylinder here just for all of our parts to come off of. Doesn't need to be too big, but I don't know, probably smaller than that. There we go, just this tiny little hub that a whole lot of stuff can come out of. And then I can make more of these, really pull them out. Cool, so that might work better, but it's going to mean I need to rethink about how I'm laying all these out. So everything needs to kind of radiate from the hub, or radiate from several hubs. So for instance, these ones I'd like to be attached on the inside of them. I probably want to mirror this. Most of this is pretty symmetrical. Why isn't that mirroring? Because the rotation isn't applied. Very epic music right now. Really getting exciting here. The hub is our new god. So then, yeah, the hub radiates through all things plastic. So then we want to connect these from the outside going in. So then that's the outermost bit. Then duplicate this. That works pretty well. And what is the next piece in that I would like to hub together? Thinking, so, right, so these pieces are going behind the foot, so the layout should represent that. So this piece can maybe go right here. I don't think those will be joined together. Probably something on the Shapeways website that'll tell me what the minimum, yeah, what's all the hubba hubba about? What's all the hoopla about?
Congratulations, kid. You lucked on yourself. You reinvented the wheel. I'm going to recommend to the board that we proceed immediately and that the
0.5 millimeters.
dingus be mass-produced with all deliberate speed.
And that can't be 0.5 millimeters. Like, this is, well, it's possible. Yeah, it's fine. So now pulling this wire over here, and I think maybe a connection right there wouldn't be too noticeable. Yeah, this thing really is a, it really is a little model. It's funny that these parts trees still apply even when you're doing something with 3D printing and not manufacturing something with, like, I don't know, making a cast of it first. When I was a kid, my family had a kiln, and my parents actually would make little ceramic casts. So, like, you take an object, you pack it in plaster, you know, like a little toy dinosaur or something. You pack it in plaster and leave it for a long time. then like they could separate it out and get a nice little plaster mold to pour ceramic into. Guess maybe it's not called ceramic until it's fired. Pour liquid clay into, I guess. They used to do a lot of sculpting things out of clay too when I was a kid, which feels a little bit like what I'm doing now with Blender. You know, the techniques are different, but still thinking about 3D shapes in a similar way. So then, what piece does go next? This is the ankle. So then this goes behind it. This snaps into that. So really I want these pieces to maybe go right here. I'm trying not to put anything below this floor line. Thinking it'll be a better print if all these are printing on the same surface. Though again, that's really more something that would be causing me serious issues if I were using my home printer. Sending it off to a printer service, you really can make a lot of things their problem. Like I said, it might even be smarter to put all of this in like a little cube of parts as far as minimizing material cost. But if I did that, it would be harder to diagram all this stuff out after I print it and make instructions for snapping it together. So yeah, you just take a little piece of wire clippers and you snap all these tubes off. So then this piece, what is this piece? What is the meaning of this piece? It goes right here. So definitely that orientation is good. I feel like maybe this could slot right in here maybe. And I don't really know where this needs to connect. Maybe I need a second hub, so just duplicate this out. And then we need like one tube going to this, and then this can spread out to those. And probably some other pieces too. Yeah, I really wish I'd caught Galen's stream. I was really enjoying it yesterday. And let's see, I need another one of these. Wow, I want to hear more about that. So, what is an orphan in 3D space, or in Blender terms? And moving down here, scan all these parts trees lined up. Moving this up here. Yeah, it's really looking like a spider now. Yeah, you get some pretty creepy stuff with working in Blender and Unity. So, an orphan edge or vert is a vert or edge remaining after deleting another part of the model. I gotcha. Yeah, those are tricky. So, right. So, let me just save another copy of this. So how do you hunt those out? The technique that I usually use is, oh, let me see if I can do this. So, like, suppose I have that hanging out there. I can do Control Shift Alt M, and that selects the non-manifold stuff. So, like, if this thing is hanging out without any faces connected, I'll just highlight that. Or like if it's just one face here, it works to Control Shift Alt M. But how are you hunting this down today? So, yeah, so we're just gonna connect our part tree up to here. And maybe I'll just copy this. Luck of the draw. So, like, how does that work out in terms of hunting orphans? You know, in Unity, I keep making empty children, and it makes City of Corridors sad every time I tell her I'm making an empty child. I don't know what's worse, producing empty children or hunting orphans. I'm gonna just connect this up here. Moved some pieces around. Oh yeah. Yeah, I like how you're calling them freeloaders. Makes it easier to hunt them down. They're contributing nothing to society. Let me just hook that in there. And what else am I doing? So, like, I would like to make it pretty clear that this part slots into this part. But that really fits together nicely right there, so I don't know. I'll always put a tube coming under here, but that's kind of messy. I don't know, I think I'll just maybe move that. Oh yeah, this is good. So apply location. Just kind of stick this up here. Of course, it really would be better if these were in the proper orientation for the model. Yeah, this is the Dickens cast where we hunt all the orphans and call them freeloaders. Sounds good, Galen. Ooh, what? Not that. Not like that at all. And then after we're done hunting them, we empty them out. No, I think you're thinking of James L. Roll. The other day, he was saying you can tell it's a dystopia because nobody cleans there. Been laughing about that ever since. I kept moving things around. Oh, that's funny. You kept moving it around till the orphan became a parent. Man, yeah, I'm sorry I missed that. Really want to see more of your stream. Really hoping I'm putting enough clearance on here. So now if I stick that right here, It's like these are close to these, so maybe it's a little more obvious that they hook into each other. Now, what is the best place to slot these in? Like, I think these are reversible, so this could be the inside of it. So like if this is the inside, right here is probably the least noticeable place to put this. Yeah, with the script I was writing for the game that I'm making, I've got this electrical system, and it works in this branching tree with these electrical sources that are in a tree. So you got parents and child nodes, and you know, if I cut a wire or change the electrical system, then all of those parent-child relationships need to be reset. So I've got a method in there that I named Eat Your Children. And yeah, I think my life's work is complete now that I've written a piece of programming called Eat Your Children. There's really nothing left to do. Let's see, so then duplicate this and move it on here and just get all these connected up. And we make a happy little vertex and happy little plastic tube. That's just going to be thrown in the trash. There we go. And then connect this to here. And that's pretty good, actually. So let's just think about these in terms of how this is actually going to fit together. So I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job so far of keeping the relationships. Like this part goes to here, this slots into here, and that actually goes down here, but it's close to this part. So do I have any other leg stuff? I think I can move these a bit closer. And just really get those tightly packed while still being a little bit mindful of making sure that we got enough clearance between all these parts. And they're still easy enough to separate after the fact. So yeah, I can do something like this maybe. And even bend this part to make sure it gets in there a little better. So that's looking pretty good. And what else have I got to do here? So I need to apply the location on this one. This yellow layer is going to be the hardest thing to lay out. I only have a few things on the red layer. So we got the neck, we got the head, we've got the arm, which I don't know, that can be like on either side of the head where I lay that at. So yeah, I think I'd like to make these feet little straighter. And yeah, just put these down here maybe. Packing these is like a weird 4D version of UV. Yeah, pretty much. Where's the fourth dimension come from? I could, like, UV is two-dimensional. This, oh no, it's definitely three-dimensional at least, but where are we getting another dimension? Slot that in here, and that's what it's all about. Really does look like a UV image though. So, feel pretty good about how those are laid out. Like maybe this could be more forward. Make sure those two don't merge together. And a lot of this stuff Shapeways will give me a warning too if two parts are in danger of merging together. Oh, really? So, oh no, this does feel like maybe I could pack it a bit tighter. So I guess I'll do it. And then just slot that in there. Okay, and I don't know, I don't want a lot of wasted space in here because they do charge by the print volume too. Like I said, just like putting the feet on top of this might be smarter. Or underneath it, I don't know. Of course, if I lay them out like this, if someone wants to print this thing out at home and they have a nicer printer or like a, maybe even a printer like mine but can print in, they got the ventilation for ABS. Be nice if it's laid out more flat. So then I'm thinking, this thing called mirror modifier, it does. So before I lay this thing out, I like to get the origin in a place I can really work with it. And yeah, I think I'll need to get these off center. Maybe just put this over here. And I'm thinking the least obvious place for this bridge is going to be right back here. This can maybe stay upright. Although, it's definitely more iconic if it's on its side, and, you know, it's easy to recognize on its side, and that's kind of important for diagramming this parts tree. So again, probably right here is going to be the least visible place to put that connection. And then I gotta lay out these parts, so, yeah, I don't know about these ones. They're gonna be down here, maybe across here. It's gonna be a little hard to lay them out so it's ends to ends like I'd like them to be. Maybe, let's see, so this slots into that. I don't know, maybe I could put these across, and that would let me lay out the arm a little more like it actually goes. And something like this. rotate this around -90. There we go. So that's kind of approximating how I want these laid out when they connect to each other. How's it going, Joel? So let me just save this. So what I'm doing today on the show is I'm making a little 3D printed action figure of the main character in my video game. And this is what it looks like when it's put together. So I'm printing this out of 3 different kinds of plastic. Well, 3 different colors, yellow, red, and blue. And if this all works out, it's going to have a lot of different joints in there. And be pretty posable. Oh, thank you, Joel. Thank you for the follow. How do you find the channel? So then going back to here, and yeah, I just want to make some connections for these. So move this up here, and where do I want this to connect? So it would actually be nice if it connected back here. I'm mostly laying it out like this, so it's really clear that this snaps into the head like this. And I don't know, I want to make a nice even place for the arm to be laid out. So maybe I'll try to jigger these around a little. So I'm building a 3D printed action figure. So let me go over here. So this is what it's going to look like when it's all set up and all the parts are snapped together. So it's got a lot of different points of articulation. And I'm trying to just make it so it's really posable. This is the main character from the video game that I'm making. But over here, I'm laying... Oh yeah, so the character is going in the video game that I'm making, but right now I'm making a 3D printed action figure, so all this is going to be in plastic. So right now I'm laying out all the different parts for 3D printing, and I'm making a little part tree, so we have these bits of plastic attaching all of them, and then so it's an online 3D printing service I'm making these with called Shapeways. So I'm gonna send this to them when it arrives in the mail. Maybe I'll even stream it. Like I'll take a little pair of wire clippers and clip each one of these tubes off of the parts. So it's a whole little process. So I'm making one parts tree for each color of plastic that I'm printing. So right now I'm working on the yellow one with like the legs, the head, the arm. And then I go over here, I'm going to put the red crate bits. And this is just a little blue detail. I don't really need a parts tree for that one. So yeah, I'm really hoping I can actually send this thing to the printer today. But we'll see. This 3D printing stuff always takes longer than I think it will. So then like move that over there. And I think the way I had it before is probably going to be more space efficient. And yeah, just find a good place to connect this. So do you do any 3D modeling, Joel? What are you using for keys overlay? Yeah, so this program, this program, I think it's called Screen Keys. It's only available for Linux computers, so I'm not sure what software you're using. Also, City of Corridors did a lot of modifications to it. So it sort of works like this out of the box, but like for all the different colors in here, and for actually getting a description of the thing that the key does, it was just a big kludge getting it all set up. Also, I can do this. So that's pretty fun. Yeah, I don't know. There's a few things I wish I had Windows for, but it's just, yeah, I'm pretty happy I can do little emotes with this. So, I don't know. Windows is just, it's not like they ever really had found their way, but they've just really lost their way lately with all of the advertising and the Metro interface and all that stuff. So I've been pretty happy being switched over to Linux, even though there's like some games I can't run in it. Yeah, it just feels like the whole thing's just kind of breaking down these days. Though, I don't know, some things like the Linux support in Unity could be better, I'll admit. But in general, I've been a lot happier with it. It just feels like I've got a much cleaner working environment over on Linux. So, although, you know, I probably couldn't do it without City of Corridors helping me maintain all that stuff. She's really good with operating systems and getting all that stuff set up and maintained. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mike Labs. Have a great day. Yeah, I bet it's getting pretty late for you where you are. Over in Portugal. So let me think about this. Might be better if I like put this down here so that tube isn't extending so much. Don't know if it matters so much. Move this down here. Have a great night, Mike Labs. Then I want to make sure that these are like going into here all the way so I get a nice clean connection. I think I can even leave these as separate objects, and you know, they'll still print as though they're one solid part. Now this also needs to really get connected into there. Move this over here. And maybe I can even put onto the main hub right here. And you know, this stuff, it doesn't need to be perfect in how it's laid out, but something like, you know, this is just a little bit of plastic trash that you throw away. Captain Planet wouldn't be very happy with me right now. Making all sorts of little pieces of trash that take thousands of years to degrade. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. So then I need another connector over here, which I have already set up. That's looking good. Yeah, Captain Planet takes all of our fun away. Beyond making this parts tree, I don't think Captain Planet would be too, well, let me take that back, actually. I was gonna say Captain Planet wouldn't be too thrilled with me making an action figure. But, you know, Captain Planet had his own action figures, so maybe he should get off his high horse a little. I actually owned a few of those action figures. I don't know how he justifies that. So then, I just need to move this arm down and continue laying out the parts tree for this action figure. And, you know, there's actually something, just take a small break from this because I just remembered there was something in Unity I really want to show off on the stream. So let's just make this window a bit larger. Do I have anything behind this now? Be just a moment to get into game. There we go. So I've been working a lot with making debris that flies everywhere when you destroy things. And I also got a saw blade in, and long story short, I made a little murder hole here. So I've got this spinning saw blade, and I was throwing NPCs into here. And, you know, I just said, wouldn't it be nice if there were a better blood and guts effect when I throw people into here. So I went ahead and did that, and actually I need to turn shadows on because it doesn't look very good right now. Quality, hard shadows. I developed this on my other computer, which doesn't, I don't know, it drops the frame rate when I do shadows, so let's try this again. I'll start over again when they kill me. So yeah, just toss the NPC into the hole. And we got a nice little splatter effect now. I don't know, just all the talk about empty children and orphan hunting reminded me of my other atrocities, so I thought I'd share that with you. And like when the guns explode, same thing, it makes little particles that just fly all over the place. So yeah, I guess basically I'm just showing that to you so you can help me answer the question, does all this make me a bad person? Just feel so guilty testing this game and killing all the NPCs in there. But they do try to shoot me, so there's that. And let's see, let's put these going up here. They're like 90-degree rotation for laying these out. And part of the reason for this is just to make it so that these are easier to recognize in the parts tree. Oh, it actually was correct, so like that. Let's do 90 here, 90 here. And, just thinking about how this arm should go. So I might be wasting a little space if I just like lay this whole thing out over here and I guess pull it out a bit. I could slot one piece in here and, have the other part in front of it, maybe. That could work. And let's get a nice clean rotation on those. So maybe 90 here, 90 here, and here as well. And just move all these down to our parts layer. Really getting very close to sending this thing off to the printer. Just very exciting to me. So, just put that there. Like something like this won't be too space wasting. It's possible I could even lay out the claw bits right in here. Might be a little better for space. Now, if I pulled this out a bit and pulled this out, maybe I could really slot this piece nicely into here. Moving this over. And like that, like that. Eventually I gotta check to make sure I have good minimum clearance between all these. And let me see, so this might block the part tree from really coming out. So maybe it would be better to do something like this, slots into the back of this, and like this maybe, and then, I don't know, I could try to lay these claws out in the center of this. Trying to, not put these at really weird rotations. So then I could put this in here. This needs to move out a bit, and oh no, I messed up this when I did that. Just put this right in the bottom here. Should be okay. Rather not get this loop inside of there, just keep it clean. Cool, and then maybe I could move these in just a little bit more. It's looking like I'll need a few pieces of the part tree coming out here, Just trying to think of ways I can pack this just a little bit tighter. I think maybe I could do a bit of this. There we go, that's looking good. I feel like the clearance on this is about as tight as I can make it. Yeah, then we're getting into there, and that's no good. So then I'm going to need enough room for these plastic tubes to come out here. Like, this is the back of the arm. Probably right here isn't too noticeable. Back here is even better. So maybe it's coming in. Oh, though, you know, the part that's really not noticeable would be if it were going into this bit. It would make it a maybe harder to see on the part tree. Let's see. So let's see what that looks like from above. That's pretty recognizable parts tree-wise. It would have to face the other direction though, so I can do that. Alright, so then... Oh, just thinking about this. So, then it would like come into here. This part needs to be rotated around so that it's pretty recognizable how it fits into the other piece. That's no good. Okay, it's this one. Is it? I don't know how I gotta rotate this. So like 180, 180, 90. Alright, so then that like slots into here. But in the finished model, it's more like out here, so I can leave it like that. I don't know, maybe a diagonal like this. And this could be at a diagonal too. Of course, the way these fit together, that actually comes behind this, but I don't know, I don't need to worry about that stuff too much. It's just nice to sort of get it laid out so that you can see how these are going to snap together. So yeah, just thinking about this. Oh, that's looking pretty good. Well, I've got a little bit below this center line, but not too bad. Let's scoot everything up so I've got nothing below the center line. And put some things down a bit. Just really make this thing so if I did want to do something where I'm printing it on a printer where the support material is really important, gotta just get these as close to the build plate as possible. And of course after this I'll need to go around and check that everything is still basically in the right place. So after that I think I need to mess with all of this a little. So this goes down. This piece goes down. There we go, and these go down as well. Let's really get those lined up nicely. That should be okay. So then it's slotting in right here. Pretty happy about that. This still looks good. These need changing. And I'm moving this up so getting a nice clean insertion into there. Looking good, looking good. Moving on down the parts tray. We've got these pieces here and pretty happy with how that looks. Maybe it'd be nice if these were a bit farther down on this. Of course, if it's closer to an edge, that does make it easier to really get in there with a pair of wire cutters. You know, this piece. And for this, just slot it right in here, looking good. All right, so just a few more pieces that need connecting up. And let me see, so thinking about where to attach these. I'd really like to attach them so that it's kind of obvious that they clamp together. But just thinking about the places where they're least visible is tricky. It also needs to be places where it's easy to kind of fit some wire clippers in there. Like the inside of the hands might be a good place. So it does mean that they maybe look a little worse on the parts tree. I think the functionality is better if I do something like this. We use this as greebles and other models. Yeah, like, how do you mean just take the parts tree and stick it into something else? So yeah, I want enough separation on this. That's not too much trouble getting those wire cutters in there. So, I don't know, I was saying I'd like tubes to like come out all the way here. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. You know, with this anatomy model that I posted to the Discord with the skeleton on there, I was taking the little low poly organs in there, and I used those as the giblets you saw a minute ago flying out of the NPCs when I throw them into the saw. Yeah, so I don't know, I just maybe I'm being a little too space efficient with this. Like, I think this is going to go a lot easier if I just give them a little room to breathe. Yeah, it worked out really well. Like, those are just like this tiny collection of pixels on screen. So really I don't need very much detail in there. Basically just little cubes with some parts cut out of them. Just little pieces of nothing that can be these tiny physics particles. So I don't know, the issue really is fitting in that X-Acto knife for wire cutters or something. So I think this will be okay. Can probably get a tube coming through here, one coming through here. And it really is nice if we can keep this at 2D with no parts going over any other parts. And the only reason for that is just really keep this looking visually clean, so it's super obvious how all this separates and goes together. Now I'm extending this central spine out, and I don't know, this piece feels like maybe it needs to be moved out of the way a little more. So yeah, this is going to have a little tube going into each of these, another one going out here. I don't know, maybe it would be better if I moved these inwards. Move this inwards. Though, you know, give them as much separation as I can. And then we could have it coming out of here. So these are attaching off of another tree coming out here. Of course, this isn't the kind of tree Captain Planet likes. This is the bad kind of tree that's made of plastic. Only the least environmentally friendly forms of pollution on the Plunder Robot Manufactory. There we go. And, I don't know, I just need just enough separation on this that it won't fuse together as one part. Like, I'm almost wondering if this should jog a little to the left. And this piece can just like go right there. And then bulk this out a bit so Shapeways doesn't yell at me for trying to print wires that are too thin. Cool, so we just need one cross beam here, some parts going across here, and we got all of our yellow pieces nice and lined up, so need another hub right here. Just center it on there, and then duplicate this, center it on there. Yeah, I'm really a super villain in this stream. I don't know, we were talking about lighting the workers of the Blender Robot Factory on fire a few streams ago, so I don't know, maybe that's just who I am. I do wear a lot of red and black because the villains get better wardrobes. Let's bulk that out a bit. And let's see, I feel like this needs to be rotated all around a bit. You may have won this time, Captain Planet, but you can't save all the puppies. Not after I put them in my puppy death machine. So then we just gotta connect here and connect here. And full disclosure, no actual puppies were murdered in the production of this stream. Just in case you're worried about that. Then move this down here. Destruction. And then I probably need to apply the mirror on here. Oh yeah, I've even got good super villain music going now. Destruction. And really put this in here. Yeah, game's all about throwing people into the meat grinder. Or possibly not throwing them in there. The player does have some different story paths. Definitely some of them don't involve throwing people into the meat grinder. Just gets so dark when I'm playtesting this thing. Like, okay, now is the game going to glitch out if I kill a ton of NPCs and throw all their bodies into a pushcart and dissolve all of that in acid? It's, I don't know, I didn't expect it to be like that when I started making this game. So, you know, a lot of games are about fighting and gun battles and whatnot. It's probably just a little different when you personally handmade every character that's going into that thing. Okay, so that is looking pretty nice. Let's move this down here and... Okay, I'm willing to call that done for the parts tree. I can really picture just going in there with an X-Acto knife or something and slicing all those off of there. Going here, it's looking pretty good. Maybe move that down a little. Trying to put those in places where they won't be too noticeable. It goes into here, looks okay. Maybe extend this one just a tad. And then we're back here. And yeah, I'll make that a bit longer. Well, that's looking nice. Go into here, also looks pretty good. And the final part down the line is this one. Also doesn't look bad, except for this. So then I just move this tube up, move it all the way up to here, and that makes the model work. And maybe just extend that out a little more. Not really a reason I'm doing this besides just make the parts tree look a little nicer. There we go, and I'm feeling pretty good about the chances of this actually working. And I'm going to take a quick break to make sure that the workers of the manufacturer are still not on fire. So I'll be back in just a moment. All right, and welcome back to the show. And yeah, so a few of them were on fire, but no one mission critical, so we're still good. So yeah, this parts tree is pretty much done here. So not gonna need too much for the red layer on this. Get in the meat grinder. Just gonna throw them all into the meat grinder. Like I did with those NPCs. So it's really just 3 red parts. So let's just lay these out. Whoops, thank you. Technical difficulties is the technical difficulty, it turns out. Our technical difficulty is that we haven't taken the sign down. So, let's see. And this shouldn't take long at all to lay these out. Something I do need to be mindful of, maybe I'll just parent these, is making sure that these parts move together. And where should I connect this? Gotta be somewhere that isn't too visible, somewhere that's easy to cut off with a pair of wire clippers. Probably slide some wire clippers right in here without too much issue. Well, it would sure be nice if there were somewhere externally visible, but I think right here won't be too bad for wire clipper placement. Then like this other shell just kind of goes over here. And move this in here. Excuse me. Yeah, so if Captain Planet's so good, why does he have action figures? Doesn't seem like those are very good for the environment. And yeah, so we can get pretty simple parts tree going here, just like 3 prongs on this. Move this up. And I'm thinking I really want those to connect in the middle here and here. Just give those as much room as possible for, what am I saying? As much room as possible for the wire clippers or X-Acto knife or what have you to slide in there. So I'm just going to go over here and copy some of the pieces I'm using for the parts tree. Duplicate one of these hubs, move it over here, and duplicate this. Duplicate this one, move it here. Getting really close to actually sending this thing to the printer. And then, yeah, then I can just kind of slot these in. Thinking right here would be good. But is that good on the other side? Let's see. So apply this mirror modifier since the 2 sides are a little bit different. And let's see. Just need to move this so it intersects a bit. And, you know, thinking about this more, I think the less you have to insert the X-Acto knife or whatever into this, the better off it'll be. So I probably just want to put this like right on the edge of here. Oh, the worst candy bar. Bit of honey. Yeah, everyone chime in. What's the worst candy bar? The worst candy is malted milk balls. I got sick eating those as a kid, and I haven't been able to touch them since. Yeah, you heard me. Bit of honey can go on the same, it can go to the same place as Captain Planet. Yeah, they just never did it for me. I don't know, what's your worst candy bar or other candy? So, let's see, yeah, like just putting this right on the edge. And that way you don't need to extend your tool very far into there at all to get that snipped off. And same thing over here, just, that's not too bad, just as close to the edge as possible. And then we just need one more wire going down there. And, let's see, I'll just wing it. So, duplicate, separate selection, rotate that around. Yeah, Milky Way never bothered me. I don't know, it's not my favorite, but never, like, really stood out as garbage. Man, I should do product endorsements on this show. It, like, I listen to, this podcast, my brother and me, that does, like, they do some product endorsements, but they also just talk about products a lot, just like out of the blue. They talk about McDonald's when they're not receiving any money from McDonald's. And they actually do a better job, like, making products that they're not being paid by sound appealing. Like, you know, they're actually being paid by Blue Apron, and they'll say, you know, they'll start talking about how tasty that hot garbage is. And, you know, sometimes they'll just go too far and they'll just like redo a commercial because they messed up so badly with their advertisers. So yeah, I should start doing that on this show. By Milky Way, it's like 80% inoffensive to me. It's the candy bar that mostly isn't garbage. So then go over here. Just insert that in there. And, oh yeah, and this is all messed up. Ooh, this is exciting. We can have a connection that's on the bottom of one of these nodes. Cool, so it's just coming out there, comes along here. Angle that a bit. Slots right into the edge of this to make it as easy as possible to cut this off of the side of here. And that might actually be enough for this. Looking pretty good. When I'm actually sending this to Shapeways, I'll tell me how many shells, it'll tell me how many shells each of these prints has. And I'm really looking for 1 shell per print. A shell is just like one solid object. You know, I don't want it trying to print different objects for all of these. Of course, you know, the way... Oh, thank you so much, NeoFox. Thank you for the follow. How are you doing today? So, like, with printing with my home printer, if I wanted to give this a try, I'd probably just delete all of these parts trees because they don't really do anything but get in the way for that. But for the Shapeways printing, they're nice. So, yeah, just looking at all of this. Hey, NeoFox. Are you enjoying the stream? Almost ready to start getting this printed. Then I'll just move this to the center, and this is gonna be just like a tiny piece. Barely anything. You know, Three Musketeers actually makes my list of good candy bars. Oh no, maybe that's just because this is the evil episode today, but I'm saying Three Musketeers is maybe not the top, but it's not bad either. Shake your head in disdain. Wait, no, it's not. SMDH. Yeah, well, all I want of Captain Planet's so environmental. Why does he have action figures? Also, those workers that I lit on fire were totally not mission critical. Oh, thank you, NeoFox. Yeah, I'm really hoping this thing prints out. Okay. So, do you do any 3D modeling, NeoFox? Or other kinds of art? So, yeah, I think I might be ready to start putting these in separate files and really attempting to get these sent in. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a separate folder for these. So, models. I really need to organize these better. Finished. And then I just save all of this. Cool, so what's going on here? I can delete this piece. And now I just need to save each one of these to its own file. But before I do that, I think I'm going to save this whole thing under finished. So save it as Creator Crate Print laid out finish. I just lay it out and say like all parts. Then I just need to delete these 5 layers. So select all of this, move it here. And then I save this as we just call this yellow. Oh, cool. So, a little figure modeling. Yeah, I really like making humans in Blender. I think that was the last project I did, was making and animating a little human character. Sinan from SAO. Let me look that one up. Oh, cool. So an anime character. Let me move this over to the mainstream. Cool. So this character here. Yeah, making human characters is one of my favorite things to do. What is it I'm doing? So, I already saved these as yellow, so then let's just go to all parts. Now let's move the red parts to the main layer. Delete these. Delete this. And then, yes, I'll save as red. All right, just one more of these to do. So then we delete all that, delete all this, move this to the center, and then I am going to say, save it. This one is blue. Okay, so now, I think I'm going to need a different file format from Blend for actually printing these. So, I think OBJ works pretty well, so let's just export that. Oh, wait, no, there's one more step. So, I think, yeah. So, the other step is I'd really like to crank up this subdivision surface a little more if possible on all of these. So like this one, yeah, I could probably get that to 4. Like, you see if I move this up and down, it barely changes the shape at all, so I don't think I need to worry about this really getting in the way of the parts snapping together. So, how many faces am I at? Like, 153,000. So, in the spirit of keeping this the same resolution as the other ones, maybe I'll just do 3 on the subdivision surface. And then I export the OBJ, export. Okay, now the yellow one is going to be the most difficult to up the resolution on these. So right now, we're at about half the resolution that we can potentially print at. No, I think I'm just going to go over to the blue one and undo what I just did, because I probably can't get that yellow part to have another level of subdivision on all of them. And I'd rather not have some parts have better smoothing than other ones. So just saving this again. Export the object file. Now I'm going up to yellow. Exporting the object file. And this one takes a minute because they're like, when it exports to the object file, I'm pretty sure what it's doing is it's applying all of my modifiers, and you know, some of those are adding a lot more faces, so it kind of takes a while to get that all set up. So now let's open the red one, and we're also exporting to the object file. Export this one. Cool, and that one didn't take too long. So now we'll see if I can actually upload these on stream. you know, it might take a bit of the internet connection, so if the stream just completely tanks, that's why. So I'm going over to the My Workshop section of their website where all this stuff is laid out. So you see I've made a bunch of different stuff in shapeways, like these are parts for that action figure I was talking about. Let me see what else. Little parts for a pendant, just all kinds of stuff. It's not set up very well for making rings, so like I had to upload a separate file for each kind of ring there, so there's just tons of those cluttering this up. But I'm just going to say, upload, and just start getting these sent in, and I don't know, hopefully it won't crash the stream too much, so then I select the file, models, finished, and I'm gonna start with the blue just so you can see what it looks like. The yellow's the one that's most likely to crash the stream. So then I modeled this all in millimeters, so I got millimeters selected. Upload that, and let's see if that works. So it says it's sending it. I don't know, it might take a while before it really processes that, but I'm just gonna leave this up for a minute and see if we can't get a little sense of what this looks like. I'll probably upload the higher detail parts with a bunch of vertices outside of the stream. You know, just so that we're not taking a bunch of time just waiting for this stuff to upload. But let's go back to Blender and I can kind of show you what's going on. So we have the print blue right here, which is what I uploaded. So this is the little faceplate on the model. Then like I go over here to this Shapeways upload. And you can see it looks a little bit weird, like it's rendering that a really low resolution, but it's just like a little preview to kind of get a sense of what's going on with that. So, oh wow, so they really changed how they do this upload page. But let's just say we want the versatile plastic. And actually, they're doing those auto checks a lot faster than it used to go. You know, they want to make sure it's all one piece, it's got min thickness right, the minimum thickness is okay. So it looks like we're actually good to go for printing this thing in processed blue. Don't know what, well they really just have processed for the colors. So I think I'm actually good to go for this part. I could just order that one right now. So let's attempt to load the other ones. Might not wind up working out very well for streaming. So now let's do the red one, which is the second highest detail. Create or create print red object, and upload that in millimeters. It seems like they've done some work on the website. This used to take a whole lot longer to, uh-oh. And I did a bad thing. Okay, so it looks like maybe that's not gonna work out so well for, it's gonna take all my bandwidth trying to upload that thing while printing it out. But yeah, basically that's how I'd wind up doing it. And it might turn out that after I upload those, they flag a few issues. I need to increase wall thickness at some places or something. But it really shouldn't be too bad all around. I'm pretty confident that those are going to print pretty well. And then, you know, I'm thinking that after I get all of that stuff printed up, probably the next part of this is going to be, let me just think. I really want to see if I can do a stream where I'm actually, like, I have the camera on my hands, I'm snipping out those parts and trying to fit them together. And as far as streams in the future, since oh, that's not good. We're at the end of this big projects list that I made for the stream. So now we're almost officially into the Beyond section of this. So going forward in the future, I'm going to keep up the schedule Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern. And I'm going to be doing a lot of assets for Create the game I'm making. So like, oh, let me think. I'm going to be making a boss battle soon, so lots of little machinery and stuff for that. And I don't know, yeah, probably next time I'm going to be 3D modeling a gun turret or something like that for the boss battle. So, let me see. And one more time, if you'd like to see my other stuff or hang out outside of the stream, there's the Discord page for you. And right after the stream, stick around because we're going to be hosting Hellforge. He is a really talented 3D modeler who's been making Warhammer art, so like mechs and really detailed tanks. And he's also a Blender user, so really great stuff on his channel. So stick around for that and have a great day, everyone.